everyone. So this is the week 1 video, the cervical spine. So we talked a little bit about anatomy in the first class. The cervical spine is the top of the spine. So if you think about it, the back of the neck. And we talked about the location of the dens. So I'm just going to turn sideways. So to locate the position of the dens, and dens just means pivot point. So our pivot point in our neck, our dens, if we think, you can close your eyes and just visualize and think about a string from ear to ear, running straight through, and then another string from the crown of the head straight down, and the point at which those two strings cross is the location of the dens. It's roughly right behind the bottom of the ear. So almost right at the base of the skull. It's right in between those top two vertebrae. So the top vertebrae, our C1 vertebrae, has a little hole or opening in it, and then our C2 vertebrae has a little nodule that sticks out, and they fit together, and that's how our neck pivots. And each of our vertebrae has, to some degree, movement, but when we start moving from the base of the neck, we start pulling on all our other vertebrae, and we start straining all of these muscles that are trying to stabilize and lengthen the spine. So for today, we're going to focus on pivoting from the dens. So we'll focus on our 3 movements. The first being flexion and extension, so forward and backward. Flexion is our forward movement, so when we're moving forward, whether it's in the neck or the rest of the spine, we're engaging the front, kind of compressing and engaging. We don't want to compress the throat too much, we always want to keep a sense of length in the spine, but it's that forward movement. And then extension is backward movement, and for the neck we don't want to tip the head right back because we don't have any muscles in the front of our neck to hold and stabilize. We just have connective tissues and ligaments, and they're not really made for movement. So we don't want to tip the head all the way back, we just want to gently lift the chin and extend through the crown of the head. And you can also just come back to a neutral position for that extension. And then the other 2 movements are our lateral movement, side to side. So we had forward and back, flexion, extension. Lateral is side to side. And still thinking about that pivot point from the dens. So we're not crunching and compressing the vertebrae. Remember, we kind of talked about the vertebrae are little discs that sit on top of each other, and in between is a little disc of gel. And if we compress, we're squeezing that gel, and sometimes we squeeze it so much that we push all the gel to one side and the vertebrae rub on each other, and that's when we end up with pinched nerves, hyper extended discs. So we run into a lot of different problems, and whether you're suffering from those or not, we want to, again, think about maintaining that sense of length. So we want to, again, think about pivoting from the dens, from that pivot point. And just going to where you feel a stretch. So we're not trying to get the ear to the shoulder, we're just finding our end range of movement where we feel comfortable. And then the last movement in the spine is twisting. So turning our chin towards the shoulder, but again maintaining length. So we're not trying to twist down or up, we're maintaining that neutral position. And to find neutral, again, if we think about the dens, that point where we pivot from, the cross from the string from ear to ear and the string straight down the spine, again, you can close your eyes and just think about that point. We want to lift that point the shoulders, very subtly back and down. We don't want to squeeze them back. We just want to gently kind of roll them down, let them relax so they're not hunched forward. Imagine a string from the center of the chest lifting. And the chin isn't up or down, it's not forward or back. Think about the back of the throat slightly lifted up and back. And then this is neutral. So we have this gentle inward curve to the back of the neck, to the cervical spine. So we'll move through our 3 ranges of movement in the neck, and we'll move with the breath. Always coming back to neutral on an inhale and taking your movement on an exhale. And when we do our breath, just for now, just focusing on creating an even, equal breath. So we'll get into our qualities of Durga and Suksma when we do our passive observation and our development of the breath in our reclined position. But for now, just creating maybe a balanced breath. So we can inhale for 3 and exhale for 3. Or find a count that works for you. And just do that a couple of times. And when we're inhaling, we're drawing the breath down, so the abdomen should relax, the rib cage should expand. And when we're exhaling, the rib cage gently contracts and the abdomen engages very slightly. It kind of does it on its own, you don't really have to force it. So we inhale and exhale. You can close your eyes for this if you like, or just soften your gaze. So inhale here, lengthening the spine, getting taller. And as you exhale, gently inviting the chin towards the chest. And we'll inhale again, lengthen. Coming back to neutral. And as we exhale, pivoting from the dens, that point just behind the ear. Inhale back to neutral, lengthening, getting taller. And one more time, we'll exhale the chin to the chest. And inhale back to neutral. And now when you're practicing at home, if you find that the back of the neck is really tight, you can do that more than 3 times. And if it feels all right to hold it, again, without compressing the throat and without really straining and forcing, just kind of exhaling, finding that end range, finding the end of your breath. And if it feels okay holding it, you can just inhale here and exhale. Inhale and exhale. And then when you're ready, inhaling back to neutral. So if the back of the neck is really tight, you can do that movement as you need it. Always just listening to the body. And if it doesn't feel good today, you can skip that practice as well. We will move on to our lateral movement, side to side. So again, pivoting from the dens, keeping the spine nice and long. We're not compressing, we're not trying to get the ear to the shoulder. We're inhaling, lengthening. And exhaling, we'll start to the right ear, towards the right shoulder, but not forcing it to go there. And then inhaling, back to neutral. And we'll do the same side again. Exhale to the right. Inhale to neutral. And exhale to the right. And again, if you find it really tight, you can hold it there for a moment. Try to let the shoulders relax down. Continue to breathe. And then when you're ready on an inhale, coming back up. And we'll take it to the left. So inhaling here. And then exhaling left ear to left shoulder. Inhale, nice and long. Exhale. Just finding your range. Inhale back up. And exhale. And again, if it feels good, you can hold it here for a couple of breaths. If it continue to move with the breath, or you can just do it 3 times and then move on. So yoga is really yoga is really a self-practice. So again, just listening to your body. If it feels good to continue, if it feels good to hold, then do it. And if it doesn't, then move on. We'll move now into our twisting motion, side to side. So again, inhaling at neutral. We'll take it to the right and exhale. Inhale back to neutral. And exhale, this time to the left. So move from side to side. Inhale, finding your count. Exhale. Inhale. And exhale. Inhale. One more time, exhale. Shoulders relaxed. Inhale. And this is the last one, exhale. Coming back to neutral on your inhale. And then if you need to, maybe just a couple of shoulder rolls. So we'll start cultivating our qualities of Durga and Suksma with the breath now. Durga is long and smooth. Suksma is slow and deep and effortless. So it's a nice full deep breath, but it's comfortable and it's a breath that you can maintain. So it's easy, it's not strained. So we're still focusing on the inhale, coming down, kind of a sense of expansion on the inhale, letting everything open and stretch from the inside, and then our exhale, we're letting it relax and draw back in. And when we do different types of yoga, different styles, or we have a different purpose for our yoga classes, we choose different types of breath. For this class, we'll be doing a nice relaxing breath, so always just finding that sense of creating space and opening on the inhale, and on your exhale, releasing and letting go, trying to just relax, and if you need to, let the jaw drop and nice deep breath out. So we'll set up our knees at 90 position. You can use 2 blocks and a bolster, and for props at home, if you don't have yoga props at home, you can use books instead of blocks. Instead of a bolster, you can use a cushion or a pillow. Or you can just use a big fat rolled up blanket or a couple of pillows stacked on top. You just want something to rest your legs on. You can also use a chair or the couch, or if your bed is low enough, you want roughly a 90-degree bend in your knees so that it takes all of the weight of your legs off of your lower back and kind of lets your pelvis relax into that neutral position. And if you do have blocks at home, you can adjust the height as well. If you find that the highest height is too high, you can adjust so that they're lower. So scooching in close enough so that your calf muscles are right on top. And again, there's roughly a 90-degree bend, not exactly, but roughly. And then coming into your reclined resting position, if you can, palms towards the ceiling, roll the shoulders under, take a moment to adjust and wiggle if you need to, and then find stillness here. Let the eyes close. And starting with passive observation, you're observing your breath. Where do you feel your breath in your body? What are the qualities of your breath right now without changing them? We start every practice this way because every day is different. There's always different things going on in our lives. Where are we starting from right now? Where is the breath? into our qualities of Durga and Sixma. So on your inhale, relaxing the abdomen, breathing down and out, stretching from the inside with that sense of expansion, and on your exhale, slowly and deeply releasing the breath. And you can find that count that you set at the beginning as well, so maybe counting, inhaling 1, 2, 3, and exhaling 1, 2, 3. And then we'll take about 3 to 5 breaths here. And we'll gently begin to awaken the body again, moving the hands and the feet. Circle the ankles, the wrists. Gently rock the head side to side. And we'll come into our stretching breaths. You can stay with the legs wherever they are, or you can, if you need to, adjust the position of the legs. If you need to come up, rolling to the side, protect the spine, moving your props off. So again, you can stay where you are with the legs, or you can come down onto the mat with the knees bent and the feet flat. And then as we move through our stretching breath, just observing what happens to the spine as we stretch the arms overhead. So we're going to move on an inhale. And come back down on an exhale. Practicing those qualities of Durga and Sixma, a long, smooth, effortless breath. In and out through the nose, or in through the nose, in and out through the mouth. And always in through the nose. Again, as you inhale, and raise the arms above the head, just notice what happens to the spine. Feel that sense of length as you expand with the breath in, and then releasing as you exhale, and moving at your own pace of breath. We'll just do one more here. And then for a moment, if you need to hug the knees into the chest and take a rock, or you can do some windshield wipers. Just take a moment to wiggle and move. And then we're going to roll over to our side again. You can take a breath or two here. And then using that top hand again, slowly come up through the side body. We're going to come into child's pose, and a really supported child's pose here. So you're welcome to use whatever you have at home to kind of prop yourself up. And if you have a bolster of blocks, you can use those. If you don't have those at home, using a big rolled up blanket or a stack of pillows, or just whatever you have that you can kind of hug into you and stack up. Any issues with the knees, you can use a blanket under the knees for some extra padding. As we get into this, so child's pose is with the big toes together and the knees slightly wider, and then we're snuggling our props in and we're resting on one cheek, and we want to find that pivot point from the den. So you can exhale, turn, and then walk yourself down, maintaining that length in the back of the neck, resting here. So once you find your position, take about 10 cycles of breath there. I'm going to kind of set up a couple of different options just so you can see any knee joint issues. You can also use a blanket behind the knee joints, just kind of snuggle it in there, and then sit back. And you can make it as thick as you need to kind of cushion behind you, so that if the hips don't come back all the way to the heels, you can kind of rest the backs of the legs into the blanket, so it's not straining the knees as much. And then release down. And then if anybody feels like this position just isn't working for them today, I'm going to show you how you can use a chair to do this position as well. You can actually just sit in a chair, take the feet wide, knees wide, and then you can hug your pillows or your bolster into you. And if you can, hinge a little bit more at the hips so you're kind of in a fold. And you can adjust your props again until you get comfortable. If you have another chair, you can also maybe place the other side of your pillow or your arms on the other chair. So we're still getting that nice length and opening in the spine, but there's no pressure in the knees. And if your lower back and hips are really tight, using the chair is a really nice option. And then finding your quality of Durga and Suksma in the breath. Inhaling with a sense of expansion, exhaling slowly and deeply. And whichever position you've chosen, again, staying there for about 10 cycles of breath. So you're inhaling and exhaling, and that would be a count of 1 until you reach 10 cycles of breath. And then coming out nice and slow. When we're resting on one cheek, make sure that after about 5 breaths, you turn over to the opposite side. So you can find that nice long spine, and then exhale, pivoting from the dens, and resting the head back down. To come out, always finding an inhale to lengthen, come out nice and slow wherever you are in that position, and if you need to take a little moment to wiggle, stretch out the legs, wiggle the toes, roll the shoulders. And then we're going to use a strap to find our shoulder release movement. So if you're at home and you don't have a yoga strap, you can use a scarf, or a tie, or even a belt. A belt would work. And we're finding that nice long loop. And this is done better standing, but I'm going to stay sitting just so you can see me in the video. You're going to throw it over one shoulder and then tighten it so that you can just straighten your arm. So I need to tighten it still a little bit more. Now it's too much. So you can pause your video at home until you get your strap sorted out. And over the shoulder, it should be running through the center of the shoulder. So we have a muscle here called our trapezius muscle. See? And it connects from our neck into our scapula, our shoulder blade, and then it kind of runs down into our lower back. So it's a really big muscle, and it sits right in between the shoulder and the neck. You'll feel it if you kind of feel around. It's that fleshier part of the shoulder. We want the strap to be sitting right on that. If it's too close to the neck, you won't feel a ton of sensation because there's just a ligament that runs through there. We want it right across the muscle so that we're releasing that tight muscle in the shoulder that connects to the cervical spine, the neck. So you can take a couple of little tests with straightening and bending the arm. You'll feel if you're in the right spot, if you can feel that muscle tissue kind of moving with the strap. If you're on bone or you're on those connective tissues, you're not going to feel the same sensation. So take a moment to set up, bend and release that straight arm. And then to find that nice shoulder release, we're going to take the strap across the middle of the palm, grip the strap. We're going to take it back behind the hip. Don't let the strap move in the hand. So it should be right across the center of the body. And then you're just going to gently push forward, and the strap should pull the shoulder back. And if you lose it, come back, set up, grip the strap, take it behind the hip, straighten the arm, and slowly press it forward. And then you can hold there for a couple of breaths, inhaling and exhaling. Long and smooth, effortless breath. You can stay here as long as it feels good. If you have one side that's tighter than the other, you can spend more time on that tighter side. And then releasing, and we'll switch over to the other side. Taking a moment to set up. Remember, both sides are going to be the same. So once you straighten the arm, if you need to, adjust the strap. Looser or tighter. Taking a moment to adjust. The strap is right across that muscle tissue in the shoulder, so roughly right in the center between the neck and the tip of the shoulder joint. Taking a couple of bends and releases with the arms, straighten and bend, finding that muscle tissue, that trapezius muscle in the shoulder. It should feel good. It should feel like somebody's kind of and massaging that muscle, and then as we take this movement, it should feel like somebody's pulling the shoulder back. With gravity, our shoulders tend to fall and hunch forward, so we want to open that back up and release those tight muscles on the back. So to find that shoulder release, again, strap through the center of the palm, grip the strap, take it behind the hip, straighten the arm, should be right through the center of the body. And then keeping the arm straight, slowly pressing that arm forward. And breathing here. Durga and Siksma. Inhale. Long. Exhale. Slowly and deeply. Again, if you lose it, come back into it. Hold as long as it feels good. And then release. And then we can place our strap off to the side. And I'll move my chair now. So the next prop that you'll need is a ball. If you don't have a lacrosse ball at home, you can use a tennis ball. So any ball that's roughly this size, so a tennis ball, a lacrosse ball, we don't really want anything bigger or smaller. So see if you can find a tennis ball. And then we're going to do our myofascia release. Myofascia is a type of connective tissue that surrounds every cell, every muscle cell. And then it wraps the entire muscle and then connects different groups of muscles together. So it's kind of a highway of connective tissue in our body. It surrounds our whole body structure. So if we were to not have any bones, it would still hold us together in the shape that we are right now. So we're going to use the ball to release that fascia. Our fascia, just like our muscle, holds tension and scar tissue. So anytime there's injury to the body or something happens that causes strain and our muscles become tight and hold that tension to protect ourselves, that fascia holds onto that tension as well. So as we do this work and we get into all those tight places, remembering the breath, because when we get into those tight places, our body wants to hold it in and protect us from that discomfort. So we want to use those exhales especially to release. And when we get into those areas and we tighten up, just thinking about letting the jaw drop and using those deep, slow exhales to let go. And we want to make sure that we're finding a sense of kind of discomfort in the muscle tissue that kind of starts to release and ease away as we massage it out with the ball. If it starts to get worse, moving off or easing off of that space. If you feel a sense of numbness or tingling, that means you've hit a nerve. And you'll know if you're rolling on a bone, it won't feel very good either. So we're going to start to the right of the spine, just underneath the base of the skull. You can lie on your back or you can stay seated and just roll the ball into that muscle tissue, into that fascia. And again, we'll take about 10 cycles of breath before we switch sides. So you can, if you're lying down, just hold the ball in place and breathe. Or if it feels good, gently, very gently, rocking the head from side to side. And you can control how much pressure you put into this. So if you're really tight, you can ease off a little bit. And as it starts to dissipate, you can place a little bit more pressure onto the ball. So about 10 cycles of breath. And you can count your inhale and exhale as 1. Inhale and exhale for 2. All the way up to 10. Before we go to the second side, if you want to, you can get into that trapezius muscle again. So on top of the shoulder, find that big shoulder muscle. Rest the ball underneath it, and then just gently kind of move your weight side to side. Or if you're sitting up, you can roll the ball with your hand across that muscle. We want to try to roll for no longer than about 2 minutes on one area. If we start rolling for longer, then we're agitating those nerves in that area and causing them to retighten. We want to let that tension release. So even if it feels good, set a timer, no more than 2 minutes on one spot. If you don't have a timer, using the breath, 10 to 20 breaths. And then you can move over to the second side, so the left side. And again, if one side is tighter than the other, you can spend more time there. So if the right side is tighter, spend 20 breaths there, or 15 breaths. And if the left side isn't too bad, you can spend your 10 breaths on the left side. Just honoring each side on its own. The sensations that you're feeling are there for a reason, not judging them. Just finding your breath and breathing in and around that sensation. So in yoga, we use our breath as our focus for our practice. It helps us stay present. And in yoga, we practice pranayama, which is the movement of our energy. Prana is like chi, it's our life force, our life energy. And using the breath, we can change that energy in the body. So if we have tension in the neck and shoulders, we focus the breath into that area, we can change the energy in that area. So by using these qualities of Durga and Sukshma, focusing the breath in and around the tension in the neck and shoulders, we can release tension and find relaxation. So if you're done with the neck, you can move into that that trapezius, the shoulder muscle. Again, one area, 10 to 20 breaths. And then when you're ready to be done with the ball, just moving it off to the side, just take a moment here. Come back to the breath. We'll roll over to the side and set up for our final pose before Shavasana. Coming up through that side body again. And we didn't do this in class, but after all that neck and shoulder stuff we did, go through your 3 ranges of movement again and notice if there's any change to the range of your motion. So exhale, flexion, inhale, extension, come back to neutral, and then inhale, exhale to the right, inhale, neutral, exhale to the left, inhale, neutral, coming into our twist, exhale to the right, inhale, neutral, exhale to the left, and inhale back to the starting position. Notice if there's any change, if it feels a little longer, if you have a more range of motion, there's any change at all, if the really tight side kind of loosened up a little bit. So we're just always kind of observing throughout our practice what's happening to the body and the breath. So our final pose is supported fish pose, and I'll show you a few different ways to set this up as well. Again, if you don't have yoga props at home, find some books, rolled up towels or blankets, cushions, pillows, whatever you've got. So we'll use blocks first. So one for the base of the skull to support the head, and then one at the bottom of the thoracic spine. So kind of right underneath the shoulder blades. So for lots of people, the blocks are often too hard or create too much of an opening in the thoracic spine when we don't have a lot of range of motion, if we're really tight or if there's been an injury. So again, base of skull, under the scapula, under the shoulder blades. Legs can be straight or knees can be bent. If you can, try to straighten the legs. So we get that nice extension through the whole spine. And then palms towards the ceiling. And you can close the eyes here. So this is one option. If you're using books at home and they're maybe not that high, you can turn them onto a lower edge. Same location for the blocks though, or whatever you're using, books. To come off, always rolling to the side. And then I'll show you a couple of different options. You can use a rolled up blanket. You can use a rolled up blanket or a pillow for the head as well. I'm going to use just a foam block. So blanket in the same spot as the block. Something supporting the base of the skull and something underneath the bottom of the thoracic spine, so we're opening the chest, arms come out to the sides, legs straight if you can, and then closing the eyes. And you can also use a pillow or a cushion under the shoulder blades. The goal for this pose, so supported fish pose, is to open the chest and support the neck. And again, about 10 cycles of breath here. So once you find your position, once you're set up, inhaling long and smooth, and exhaling slowly and deeply. And to come up, if the legs are straight, bending the knees, rolling over to one side again, slowly coming up. Oh, and I apologize, we missed one of our poses if you're looking at your list and wondering what I've done. I missed bound angle pose. So before you come into fish pose, coming into bound angle pose, or you can end with bound angle pose as well. Our bound angle pose with our neck stretch is really nice to do after that wall work. But either of those poses are really nice to end with. So our bound angle pose, you can use a pillow or some books to support the legs. Knees wide, bottoms of the feet together. And we're going to lie onto our back. And we want that natural curve in the lower back so we can slide our hand underneath. So if having the knees wide like this doesn't feel good, you can bend the knees towards the ceiling, but make sure that the pelvis is relaxed and not pressing into the floor, because we want that curve in the lumbar spine. We'll start with the right arm extended. Hug the shoulder blades in. We're going to bend the left arm, left hand comes underneath the lower back. And then you're thinking about gently opening that left shoulder. And to add our neck stretch in, pivoting from the dens, take an exhale and turn your gaze down that right arm towards the right fingertips. You can close the eyes here. And find your qualities of Durga and Six Moon. And listening to the body. If the neck starts to become strained, you can turn your gaze back towards the ceiling at any time you need to. As you inhale, once again, letting your breath, the focus of your breath, come into any tension in the neck or shoulder on that left side. Create space as you inhale. Let your breath surround that tension. And as you exhale, let it release. We'll slowly take the left hand out, extend the left arm. Turn your gaze back to the ceiling. Take a moment here at center if you need to. Wiggle the shoulders. Move the jaw. And then we'll bend the right elbow. The right hand comes underneath the lower back. We want the scapula to hug into the spine. If you're really tight, it's going to want to flare out, and the shoulder is going to want to come forward. So just gently hug it down, tuck it under. You might even feel a little bit of tightness down into the bicep, into the arm. All of these muscles are connected. We want to open the front of that shoulder and into the chest. And then pivoting from the dens, exhale, turning to the left. Looking down the left arm. Slowly take that right hand back out. Inhale, gaze towards the ceiling. If the knees are still wide, slowly and gently bring the hands to the outsides of the thighs and bring the knees back towards each other. And then from here, just any little bit of moving, if you need to windshield wiper or hug the knees in. If you need to do a couple of stretching breaths. A little bit of wiggling that you need to do. And then coming into your final resting pose, if you want to, coming back to the first pose that we were in with the legs supported, or just stretching the legs out on your mat, shoulders hugged in and relaxed, and then palms towards the ceiling. Hands are a couple of inches away from the body. Head is neutral. And if you want, using any other props to get comfortable, maybe a cushion or a rolled-up blanket for the back of the neck, cushion or a bolster or a rolled-up blanket for the legs. And then this is where you can turn on your guided meditation and take a few moments in Shavasana. Settle into your space and just give yourself time to be busy relaxing. Take as much time as you need in Shavasana before gently and slowly guiding yourself out. And we will see you for week 2's practice. The light in me bows to the divine light in each of you. Namaste.